Hi guys, my name is Clarissa Moon, and this week I saw Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at the Orlando Shakespeare Theatre. Wow. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is the story of Henry Jekyll, a scientist who creates a potion to unleash his inner evil. The potion transforms him into Edward Hyde, a man who acts on passion alone and commits unspeakable crimes. But you guys know the story. Orlando Shakespeare's production was fast-paced, seamless, and incredibly smart. The story was pieced together with bits of evidence from different characters in the show, like a case. Actors seamlessly transitioned between scenes, diary entries, letters, and witness statements. These quick transitions were helped by lighting changes and projections that added a lot to the show. The entire cast gave multi-layered performances and worked together as an extremely tight ensemble. Tim Williams' Henry Jekyll reminded me a lot of Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock Holmes, sharp-witted, blunt, and guarded, but with such heart. His character arc was fun to watch as the need to get rid of Hyde became more and more urgent. In the show, Hyde is played by 4 different actors, including Dan Bright, Simon Needham, Stephen Lane, and Anne Herring, each representing a different kind of evil. Stephen Lane's version of Edward Hyde was irking and terrifying, and still you could sympathize with him. His scenes with Gemma Walden were tense and heart-racing and awesome. Gemma Walden, who plays Elizabeth Jelks, has a wonderful stage presence. Her character was strong, but with just enough vulnerability to make you fear for her safety. Interestingly, you ended up loving Hyde because you saw him through Elizabeth's eyes. I got the chance to talk with these 3 amazing actors about the show. Check it out! Hi guys, I'm here with the amazingly talented Stephen Lane, Gemma Walden, and Tim Williams. So you guys all seem to be having such a blast doing this show. What makes it so fun?
One of the most fun things about this show for me is that we get to quickly go between characters and sometimes right on stage. And the fact that there's just so few of us, it's a really tight-knit group. And we all understand each other and get each other and kind of feel what the other person's feeling. It's fun for me.
I enjoy falling in love with Hyde, and not for the obvious reasons. Finding the complexity and the why he appeals to a female, as opposed to just going for the bad boy. I've really enjoyed delving deep into character work and figuring out why does Elizabeth love Hyde and not Jekyll?
I love the journey that Jekyll takes. That arc, to me, is the most important thing in character development, and I love acting it. And the second reason is I love this cast. Every single one of us get along, we joke, we laugh, we're friends, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's an intense show, and then off stage we have so much fun.
We're goofy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Elizabeth loving Hyde, why?
Why, right? That's what everybody asks.
It's the salt and pepper hair. That's why.
Because he's played by Stephen Lane. I think it's in a world where females are down here, and he isn't wearing a mask. He's incredibly honest. He shows exactly who he is from the get-go, and that's not normal. So his honesty, even when his honesty is perhaps not great, it's just, she can just be herself with him. He needs her, she needs him. There's the need there, and they just can be themselves. Complete honesty.
And I do think there's that kind of mystical quality between them, that kind of love at first sight thing that happens, that connects them almost from the moment they see each other. And I think there's, especially after the first scene, there's an understanding that happens with Elizabeth that Hyde is not going to hurt her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your Dr. Jekyll reminds me a lot of Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock
Oh
Holmes.
my goodness!
So where does that character come from?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I think it comes a lot from the writing, to be honest. In fact, Hatcher puts in an entire scene that we call the Sherlock scene. It's the scene in the second act where Jekyll is quickly on the fly trying to save his life, basically by turning Hyde's machinations against him with the whole the cane, figuring out the note, the handwriting on the note. So it's just that fast-paced dialogue that's very indicative of the Sherlock adaptations that we know. I think, too, there's the Victorian quality to it. Sherlock Holmes is a Victorian story. This is a Victorian story. That upper class brilliant mind, a little bit of a social misfit. Jekyll is probably highly functioning Asperger's. He doesn't fit in all that well socially, especially with women. He's too involved in his work. So I used a lot of that.
And there's the timbre of his voice and how resonant he is, and I think those two actors have that in common.
You guys mentioned that you guys all love each other as a cast, so what is it like to be part of such an incredible cast?
It's very satisfying.
Humbling.
Humbling.
It's inspiring. As hard as you think you're working, everybody else is working just as hard, if not, even more so. So it makes you be on your A game all the time.
Yeah.
It really is inspiring. But we also know when to have fun, and like the entire cast and crew are like that. So.
And it's when you go on stage and you look into the eyes and you make that connection. I feel like that's a lot of why I do what I do, is connection. And we have the excuse of having these intense emotions. We get the freedom to experience truth in imaginary circumstances.
And we've touched base, it's like almost going on a roller coaster every night. Even though it's the same story, it might be told slightly different, because depending on where you're going that evening, like how we all feel as actors, we may take our characters in a different way, and we're all yes-anding each other and going for it, which is really freeing and really fun.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you so much.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is playing at the Orlando Shakespeare Theater until November 13th. Go see this incredible show. For ticket information, go to orlandoshakes.org. That's all for now.